Good morning, everyone. Michael Fanning, and I'm actually in my office today. Look at that. And today is my warm up, number 175. It is July 2nd today. Yes, July 2nd. And today I want to talk about overthinking. I find myself doing this from time to time. And a couple things about overthinking. Number one is that, put it in perspective, your heart beats. You don't ever tell your heart, oh, my heart's overbeating, stop beating. And so I think looking at it differently, I don't think I want my brain to stop thinking, but I want my brain to think differently. I want my brain to think in a way that's going to benefit me and benefit others. And so sometimes when we're overthinking, overthinking isn't thinking about positive things. Overthinking is typically when we're overthinking about negative stuff or problems or things of that nature. And so there's five ways that you can kind of change your thinking, if you will. So the first one is awareness, just to be present in the moment. And I find that this is something that really benefits me. So when I find myself overthinking or thinking about a problem and it just starts to escalate, right? Because when we get to that point, have you ever heard of the term paralysis analysis? Or when people have really high anxiety or high fear, it's because what they've done is they've let this thinking spiral out of control. And so what we have to do is we have to be present in the moment and say, you know what? Stop for a second, and what, if I could wave a magic wand, what would I want the outcome to be? And let me focus on that. So the first thing is you got to be present in the moment. A lot of times we non-consciously just allow our brain to spiral out of control, and we don't take control of it, right? We don't control it. So being present is key. The next one is perfectionism. Nothing is going to be perfect. You can't make something perfect. You can't be perfect. And sometimes what happens is we overthink things because we want it to be perfect, and so what we end up doing is nothing. And we just overthink it. You ever heard that term, you're getting ready to get ready? Ready, aim, 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 and we never fire, and we overthink things. You may know some people like this. It makes you crazy. And so just know that you can't be perfect. And also know too that if you're comparing yourselves to other people because you're overthinking, because you're looking at, well, they did it this way and I got to do it better, a lot of times what you're seeing is not perfection either. And so let go of perfectionism, right? Do it the best you can, but know that it's not going to be perfect. Okay, the third one, control. Okay, who are my control freaks out there? Right here, I like to control things, and it gets in the way. And so what I would say to you is that sometimes you have to realize that you cannot control everything. And there's only one thing that you really can't control, and it's yourself. You can't control other people. As much as you think you want to, you can't. And so sometimes you have to relinquish control and let that control go away and say, how do we effectively work together, right? And what can I contribute? And I'm not going to control the situation. And so control is another one. So that's number three. So number four is put things into perspective. When we're overthinking and we're allowing our thinking to spiral out of control into that world of anxiety, sometimes you have to put things into perspective and say, wait a second, is what I'm overthinking, is it true? Is it real? And am I making it up? And what's the perspective? Is it really as bad as my brain is making it out to be? And and I will say this, there's always a situation that's worse than the situation that you're in. And sometimes you have to stop for a second and just put things in perspective. Say, you know what, this isn't as bad as I thought it was. I am going to be able to get through this. And the other thing you need to know is that there's always a solution. There's always a way out. So give yourself perspective. Sometimes it's crazy the stuff that we will just spin out of control on and have this crazy anxiety. And you really look at it and go, really? That's what got you spun out right now? Let me put it in perspective for you, right? Let me put it in perspective for you. So keep that in mind, think about that. And then the last one, number 5, is you've got to have a plan. You have to have a plan. And a plan means that you now know what you're going to do, because a lot of times when we're overthinking, it's because we don't have a plan and we have too many variables, and all of a sudden we're trying to figure out what the variables are. And a plan, right? A plan allows you to chunk things down into small, digestible, bite-sized pieces that your brain can now work through and say, okay, A, B, C, D, 1, 2, 3, 4. And what you find is you become productive, you become less critical of your thinking, you actually are able to make decisions because you now have a plan. All right. So I'm gonna post. There was a podcast that this really came from today. It's called the Mindset Mentor or the Mentor Mindset. It's one or the other. I will put a link to that podcast in there where he talks about the 5 critical aspects of not overthinking. But keep that in mind. It's a good thing to consider when you are in that state of, maybe anxiety or spiraling out of control because you're overthinking something. Those are 5 things. Remember, be present, be aware. Perfection, it's not going to happen. Relinquish control if you can. Put things in perspective. And number 5, have a plan. All right, everyone, that is my warm up for today. Hey, be awesome and help somebody. Have a great July 2nd.